Good morning. Did you know that accountability can be one of the most time-effective activities we engage with? When we're accountable to other people, we end up becoming far more efficient. Simply having that timeline that we're accountable to is so helpful. And here's the key to this. Why does accountability work? The reason it works, the major reason it works, is we're far more likely to accomplish something that we've committed to someone else than we are to something we committed for ourselves. That's most people's problem in this world. Most people will do far more for others than they will do for themselves. And that's absolutely true for me. It's true of almost every one of my clients. There are one or two people that are a little bit different, but almost every one of my clients historically, for hundreds and for thousands of clients, have been people that were more likely to do something for themselves than or for others than themselves, okay? So that's why accountability works. Now, how do you set up accountability? Well, set up accountability in many ways. Try different things and see what works. One thing that is great is making something public. So if you're going to use, I don't use social media. If you are going to use social media, put something publicly up for other people to see. And then people will they will ask you about it later on. They'll ask you, hey, how did you do with that thing that you were going to do this week or you were going to focus on today? When we post things publicly, this is what I commit to do today. This is what I commit to do this week. We are putting ourselves in that realm where other people will ask and we are more likely to get things done. Even if in your own house, you can put something up on the fridge or put something up on a wall somewhere of like, these are the tasks that mommy or daddy is going to get done this week. So ask me at the end of the week. That's fantastic. And you can mark the things off as you get them done, which builds momentum and confidence for yourself. So that's what's one technique. The best technique that I found is to have an accountability partner and or group. Advantages and disadvantages to both groups and partners. I love groups, but the group needs a really strong leader to make it work. With a partner, usually it also needs at least one really strong person to make it work. But here's the key with accountability, one absolute key. That is, people need to be engaged. It needs to cost something so that people are far more engaged in the process. The way I do this and the way I've always done this is make sure you get together with an accountability partner or accountability group where it costs something to get in. If it's free, people easily drop out. If it costs $100 a week, or if it costs $1,000, or if it costs $20,000 a year, now it's going to be a fantastic accountability group because it's cost you. Again, your accountability to your own finances, or you're accountable to your own finances, and you go, wait a second, I paid money, I'm going to get my value from this, and you engage with it, you spend more time and energy on it. Not only you, but everyone else. So all of a sudden, everyone else helps you out a lot more, okay? So whether it's individual or group accountability, usually if you've paid something for it, if it's cost you something, it doesn't always have to be money, but if it's cost you something, it's far, far, far more beneficial for you. Now, with an accountability partner or a group, I'll talk about a partner specifically. What are you looking for in an accountability partner? Whether it's a coach or a mentor, now again, that can cost time and money, so it can be fantastic. Or whether it's simply somebody else you know, somebody else in the business realm that maybe is in the industry, maybe not, that you hold it yourself accountable to. What are the qualities you need in this person? I typically look for two qualities in the person. Number one, the person needs to be strict enough, rigid enough that they're going to ask me every single time, how'd you do? You said you were going to do this. How did you do? That they will be willing to confront me, not in a rude way, not in a mean, nasty way. This is not a bullying technique. This is not a cat and mouse game. This is not trying to police each other. But somebody who is willing to hold my feet to the fire and say, hey, you said you were going to do this. Why didn't you do this? You said for 3 weeks you said you were going to be doing this, and all 3 weeks you haven't done this. What's going on? That is really good, that confrontation. The second thing that I'm always looking for is just as important. That is people that is somebody that I can trust, somebody that I feel safe with. So if somebody is simply putting me down, you idiot, why can't you get anything done? You fool, get it done. I don't need a drill sergeant. And that's not what most people need. Research shows consistently that the best accountability are not people who put us down. They're people who do hold our feet to the fire, who do confront us, but they are also safe. They're safe enough that if we didn't do it, we're honest. And if we did do it, we're honest. And if we're struggling with something, we're honest with them. If somebody isn't safe, we're not going to share that with them, and therefore they can't help us as much. They can't to hold us accountable. So with accountability, I basically talked about 3 different tips, okay? When you talk about people. First, have it cost people something so that people are going to be far more engaged. Typically, that's not going to be like a friend or family member. Typically, it's going to be somebody else. And again, make sure it costs you something, time, money, energy, whatever it is. Secondly, make sure the person is somebody who can confront you and is not afraid to say, hey, listen, you didn't get this done. If they're afraid of conflict to the degree that they can't even ask that question, it's not going to be a great accountability partner. And then thirdly, make sure that they are safe. Make sure that you're comfortable with that person. When you respect somebody and trust them and they're going to hold you accountable, you will get far more done in life and business. I promise that. You know what? I'm going to throw in one more tip because this comes up so much with when I'm teaching my clients about accountability. That is, make sure that that you have 3 or less action steps typically a week. I typically recommend meeting people on a weekly basis. It's a long enough time frame that you can do things, short enough time frame that, I mean, you can't get lost in it. If you do 3 weeks or 6 weeks between accountability, most people will just kind of fall off and not get the things done, and then kind of like procrastinate and then kind of try to jam it in at the end. That's not what we're after. We're after consistency. Okay, so that's one. And then secondly, make sure it's less than 3 things so that you can focus on 1 or 2 or 3 things. If you have lists of like 30 things, typically people feel lost, and then it works against us psychologically. So meet on a consistent basis, and make sure that you've got kind of 1 to 3 tasks that you're focusing on. That way you can remember it throughout the week. You don't have to utilize any other tools necessarily. I use Trello with my accountability so that both people can see when we're getting things done, so that we can see when the commitments are falling into place. And then again, if you trust somebody and they trust you and you're willing to work together and challenge each other, beautiful accountability can happen. You get far more done, and we are far more efficient with our time. Remember, you've got this.